So I think we have Guy in the room. Are you there, Guy?
I am.
Good morning,
Good
Guy.
morning. Good morning.
It's so it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us at our WITI Summit. Everybody must know Guy Kawasaki. You are famous. You're the chief evangelist of Canva and the creator of Guy Kawasaki's Remarkable People podcast. I'm very jealous, Guy. We have our new podcast starting, and we have a very small number of listeners right now. So I hope you become as popular
Oh,
as
trust
you
me.
are.
The hard part of podcasting is not the creation of the content. The hard part of podcasting is getting listeners. Oh my Lord, it's not easy.
Maybe we can meet about this later because we're going to need help in that area.
I need help in that area. Let's go meet with Joe Rogan. We'll all go smoke doobies and figure out how to get subscribers or something.
That will be an evolution for me. I'm going to have to work my way up to that.
Yeah, that'd
Guy,
be an evolution for me too. Trust me.
Guy, it says here that you're an adjunct professor at the University of New South Wales. That's very close to my birthplace. I'll let you know. I was
Yeah.
born in Newcastle. Yes.
So
And
you're Australian, therefore?
I am. You can't tell? Oh no,
No.
I'm going to have to brush up on my accent.
I've never met an Australian that I didn't like.
I think that's
I
true
cannot
for
say
me.
that about Americans. and and one of my favorite places in the world is Balmoral Beach. Oh my Lord. You know that Balmoral Bathers Club? And
I would call that Balmoral, and it is incredible. And every
yeah.
beach in Australia is amazing, right? It's just white sand for miles and miles as far as you can see.
Yeah, well, but you have sharks after dark. That's the problem.
Just swim faster, Guy. Swim faster.
You don't have to swim faster than a shark. You just have to swim faster than who you're with.
It's like the bears in Maine. It's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I am going to start sharing my screen because, you just never know what's going to happen when you click that share screen. All right.
I know. I'm gonna stop sharing. I hope.
Okay. And of course, I see a bunch of unknowns here. We'll see what happens here. Okay. So this is open system preference security to grant access. Oh, my Lord. We may have an issue here.
Guys, do you even need slides at this stage in your career? I mean, I could just sit and listen to you. I've seen you present before. You're the master at this. My dream is to never have slides again when I present.
Well, okay. You want me to do it without slides? I'll do it without slides. Just see if I can handle that because
if you have the new OS, you might have to give it permission again.
Yeah.
You could also email it to me.
No. You know what? So you guys are seeing my face fine, right?
Yeah, you look great.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I am going to do this without slides just to show you that it can be done. Okay. You ready?
You're my hero. Let's go.
You need to aim higher in heroes. Anyway, so my name is Guy Kawasaki. I am the chief evangelist of a Sydney-based company called Canva. I'm also the creator of the Remarkable People podcast. In a prior life, I was chief evangelist of Apple. It's on the board of trustees of Wikipedia and a Mercedes-Benz brand ambassador. And I've been in Silicon Valley for most of my life. And I've been affiliated with Canva, obviously, Google, Apple, and a bunch of startups. So I've been around innovation for my whole career, and I'd like to pass on my top 10 lessons of innovation. Okay? So I think that the first thing that people have to understand about innovation is that typically it's not doing something 10 or 15% better, i.e. being on the same curve. If you're on the personal computer curve, you do a personal computer slightly better. It's always about getting to the next curve. And I like to cite the example of ice, where there used to be an ice harvesting industry. People would go out to frozen lakes and ponds, cut blocks of ice. 30, 40 years later, now there's an ice factory curve. People go to a factory, or actually the factory delivers ice to you. Now, an ice factory is much better than ice harvesting because the ice factory doesn't have to be in a cold city in a cold time of year. Next curve is refrigerator curve. And this is even better because now you don't need to live close to an ice factory. You have your own personal ice factory. So what I want to point out is that the great innovation occurs on the next curve. So it's always about getting to the next curve. So I think that's the true test for innovation. Not to belittle the fact that evolution can occur on a curve, but true innovation is usually on the next curve. I want to point out a negative example also. So in 1975, believe it or not, an engineer at Kodak invented digital photography. He had a digital camera in 1975. And obviously, none of us use Kodak digital cameras today. So what happened? And it was because Kodak decided that it was in the business of chemicals on paper, chemicals on film. It didn't jump to the next curve of digital photography. And that is a humongous problem. And that's why Kodak is Kodak. And we are no longer using Kodak. It did not get to the next curve. It stayed on the same curve of chemicals. The second thing I learned about the art of innovation is that empathy is maybe the most important skill, which is to figure out what a customer wants or needs, often before the customer himself or herself has figured it out. And to do this, you need to empathize. You need to put yourself in the place of your customer. And again, your customer may not be able to articulate this. That's why it's so hard to do market research and focus groups about how do you revolutionize a business. And if you had interviewed an Apple II customer in the early 80s, how can we revolutionize the personal computer business? They would have said better, faster, cheaper Apple II. No one would have said create a Macintosh. It was just not in their wheelhouse to describe a Macintosh. And I'll give you a very good example of empathy. So my friend Martin Lindstrom had a client in a pharmaceutical company, or had a pharmaceutical company as a client. And as large companies often tell you, they want to get closer to the customer. So they hired him to help. I guess it was either him or McKinsey. And typically what happens with these things is they conduct focus groups, market research, surveys, et cetera, and they give you some dry statistic like 26.9% of people want to do this or do that. But what Martin did is much more analog and much simpler. Basically, he took their executives to a building and he had them all breathe through straws. And let's just say a lot of the executives had a hard time breathing through straws for an extended period. And the lesson he was trying to teach them is you're a pharmaceutical company. One class of your customer are people with asthma. And this is what it's like to have asthma. You're breathing through a straw your whole life. That's empathy. So think about that metaphor. What can you do that's the equivalent of breathing through a straw? The next question in innovation, I think, is you ask a very simple thing, which is, therefore, what? And by this, I mean, you take your vision, you take your predictions, you take your best guess of how the future is going to unfold. You just heard a presentation about the growth of AI. So if you think about this, let's say that you now say, well, there's going to be a lot of devices. These devices will have IP addresses. They're going to want some kind of intelligence to manage these devices. Therefore, what? What kind of innovation does that require? To use a historical example, 15, 20 years ago, you might have sat down and said, well, there's this thing called a cellular phone. And this cellular phone has a camera. And this camera's on a network. Therefore, what? Well, when there's lots of these phones with cameras on a data network, maybe we should start a picture sharing service and you start Instagram. So I think that a lot of great innovation occurs because people ask the question, therefore what? That is different than doing market research, by the way. This is about a best guess, a vision, a hallucination, a delusion, whatever it is. But you ask the question, therefore what? And you take your best shot. The next recommendation for the art of innovation is that you get high and to the right. And by this, I am not referring to drugs or politics. High and to the right is a philosophical model for where you need to occupy in the minds of customers and potential customers. So if you would, imagine a 2x2 matrix. In this 2x2 matrix, the vertical axis measures your degree of differentiation. The horizontal axis measures your value. So how valuable is your product? If you're out to the far right, it's a very valuable product. If you're high, it means that you're very differentiated. So this is a 2x2 matrix. The bottom right corner is where you have something valuable but not differentiated. There, you always have to compete on price. In the upper left-hand corner, there you're differentiated but not valuable. You are just plain stupid there. The bottom left corner is where you're not valuable and not differentiated. And that describes many companies in Silicon Valley where they're doing the same thing and it's not something that's valuable. The corner that you want to be in, the holy grail of, I think, innovation and marketing and really life, is the upper right-hand corner where you are differentiated, i.e. unusual, and valuable. So if you think about it, the first iPod, that was smack dab in that upper right-hand corner. It had a user interface that a mere mortal could operate. It had a wide selection of music. The music was legal to install, easy to install, and cheap to install, 99 cents. That made it unique and valuable. So I think whether it comes to a product, as an employee, if you're unique and valuable, as a spouse or significant other, if you're unique and valuable, life is good. So it's all about being high and to the right. Number five, Bobby McFerrin had a great song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. What I think that innovation means is don't worry, be crappy. And by that, I mean, if you look at the first Macintosh, it was a 128K, 400K floppy drive. Thanks to my efforts, there was hardly any software. It was a piece of crap, but arguably it was a revolutionary piece of crap. Even in its first permutation in 1984, it was better than the existing Apple II or MS-DOS machine. And so it was okay to ship. I'm not saying to ship crap. I'm saying that if you are on that next curve, ship it, get it out there. You know, version 1.0 means never having to say you're sorry. Don't worry, be crappy. Number six is stolen from Chairman Mao. He said, let 100 flowers blossom. I don't know if he ever actually did that, but letting 100 flowers blossom means that at the start of an innovation, you take your best shot at positioning and branding. Who should use our product? How should they use it? And then you ship it. And guess what? Reality smacks you in the face. So with Macintosh, we had a spreadsheet, database, and word processor. We thought we were basically 0 for 3 there. And so what happened was we put Macintosh out and a flower blossomed. This flower was called Aldous PageMaker. Aldous PageMaker created a field of flowers called desktop publishing, and desktop publishing saved Apple Computer. If it were not for desktop publishing and Aldous PageMaker and Adobe PostScript, there would be no Apple today. So the message I have is, listen, you think you have a spreadsheet, database, and word processing machine. The market tells you you have a desktop publishing machine. Hallelujah. Declare victory. I mean, the way it works in Silicon Valley is we throw a lot of stuff up against the wall. Some of it sticks. We go up to the wall. We paint the bullseye around what's stuck, and we declare victory. We hit the bullseye. You can always hit the bullseye if you paint the bullseye after you see where the arrow got stuck. Let 100 flowers blossom. Number seven is, let me adjust my little pop filter here. Number 7 is great innovators change their mind. You may think that changing your mind is a sign of weakness or a sign of stupidity. I would disagree. I think changing your mind is a sign of intelligence and courage. So changing your mind, when Apple announced the iPhone, let me read what they said. This is June 11th, 2007. Our innovative approach using Web 2.0 based standards lets developers create amazing new applications while keeping their iPhone secure and reliable. Steve Jobs said that, June 11th, 2007. What he's saying is the iPhone is a closed system. The only way you can add functionality to an iPhone is Safari plugins. A year later, Apple PR. Apple executives to showcase Mac OS X Leopard and OS X iPhone development platforms at WWDC 2008 keynote. A year later, this is saying we're opening the iPhone up. So Apple went from a closed iPhone to an open iPhone in 1 year, completely reversing its policy. And I think this was key to the success of iPhone, because with this reversal, there became millions of apps. And without millions of apps, iPhone would not succeed. And there was no way that Apple could create millions of apps itself. So changing your mind is a sign of courage and intelligence. Number eight is you've got to remove the speed bumps to your innovation. And I think a lot of times a company looks at its product or service and thinks, oh my God, this is so remarkably innovative. People won't mind going over these speed bumps, jumping through hoops, jumping over fences, whatever metaphor you want to use. Well, it's simply not true. You have to remove the speed bumps. So you may have the world's greatest website, but you gate it by some kind of captcha system that takes about 6 tries, or you put up these 9 images and it says select all the images with stoplights in them. And I don't know about you, but it takes me 4 or 5 times every time I encounter that. And that is speed bump, that is friction, that is you losing customers. Remove all those speed bumps. Don't ever ask people to do something that you yourself would not do. Number nine, I call churn, baby, churn. Now, the Black Panther said burn, baby, burn, another form of revolution. But churn, baby, churn means that, you have to take version 1 of a product, make it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 2.0. If you look at Macintosh, it started on January 24th, 1984, and now it is 2021. It has taken that long to truly have a broad and deep and great product line. Listen, back in 84, I thought it would take a year, and come to find out it's taken 30 or 40 years. I mean, that's what it takes. If you saw the evolution of Macintosh from 128K to 512K to Plus to SE to 2 to iMac to MacBook, PowerBook, MacBook Air, iMac Pro. It is a long and winding road, as the Beatles would say. So understand that a revolution is not an event. It is not January 24th, 1984, we shipped Macintosh. A revolution is a process, takes decades. Number 10 is you have to learn how to ignore naysayers. Ignoring naysayers means that you're going to encounter people who will say it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, and it isn't necessary. And there are 2 kinds of people like this. One is clearly a loser, pocket protector, body odor, just a loser. That's not the dangerous bozo, because that's easy to ignore. Right? Only a loser would listen to a loser. And if you're a member of WITI, you're not a loser. So by definition, that doesn't apply to you. The dangerous bozo is the bozo who's a winner, someone who's a successful CEO, successful venture capitalist, God forbid. And you might be tempted to go along the lines of, this person is rich, this person is successful, this person is famous, blah, blah, blah. This person must be smart. This person says, I can't succeed. He or she's probably right. I'm telling you, you should ignore that. Now, I can't tell you that every time somebody tells you you'll fail, you'll succeed, but every time someone says you'll fail doesn't mean you will fail. And arguably, one of the tests of a great entrepreneur and a great innovator is that you pursue something despite negativity, because I'm telling you, every great company encountered negativity, whether it was Google. I bet somebody told Sergey and Larry, listen, why are you starting a search engine? There's already Inktomi. There's, back then there was Inktomi, and there was the one from Digital Research or Digital Equipment. There was Yahoo. I mean, there was 5 or 6 search engines already. So, imagine you were Apple and you decided to Apple retail. And everybody's telling you, all the retail experts are telling you that a single product line cannot support a store in a shopping center. And besides, when people go shopping, they go to Abercrombie and Fitch and they buy some jeans, and they go to Levi's and they buy a shirt, and they go to, I don't know, Lululemon and buy yoga pants, but they don't on a whim go and buy a $3,000 laptop. So forget it. An Apple store will never work. Well, oops. Wrong again. So you have to learn to ignore naysayers. I'm going to read you some quotes that, if you were there at the time and you listen to these quotes, boy, you might not have done some great things. So Thomas Watson, 1943, said, I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers. 5 computers. Huh. I have 5 computers in my house. So I have the world market for computers in my house today. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Western Union said that in 1876. In 1876, Western Union wrote off telephony. Oops. There's no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home. Ken Olsen, founder of DEC, great entrepreneur, great innovator. He took us from the mainframe business to the mini business, but he could not embrace the next curve. It was as if he took us from ice harvesting to ice factory. But he was so successful with ice factories, he could not embrace refrigerators. Therein lies the problem. I mean, imagine it's the mid-70s and Steve and Woz are starting Apple. And everybody's telling them, you need to get some adult supervision. You need to talk to some people who have been there and done that. Maybe talk to Ken Olsen because he's so successful at DEC. So Steve and Woz find Ken Olsen and they pitch Ken Olsen with their idea for an Apple I, small, personal, easy to use, not networked. And Ken Olsen says to them, there is no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home. You're making a home computer. It's an oxymoron. If people want to balance their checkbook, they'll drive back to the office and use a DEC mini computer. So before you ruin your life, learn COBOL, learn Fortran, come work for DEC, and there would be no Apple. Again, I'm not telling you that whenever someone says you'll fail, it means you'll succeed. But I'm telling you, when people tell you you'll fail, it doesn't mean you will fail. It's up to you. Don't let other people determine your fate. And that's the art of innovation. I would like to give one plug. I have a podcast called Remarkable People. And if you want to learn from remarkable entrepreneurs, oh my God, have I got a collection for you. So I have Steve Wozniak, Ariana Huffington, Jane Goodall, Christy Yamaguchi, Ronnie Lott, Steven Pinker, Scott Galloway, Bob Cialdini, David Ocker, Angela Duckworth, Katie Milkman, Andrew Yang. I have just innovators and entrepreneurs, Sarah Fry from Fry Farms, Susie Batiz from Poopery. I just have many. I probably have more women entrepreneurs than male entrepreneurs on my podcast. Anyway, so that's Remarkable People at remarkablepeople.com. And that is the art of innovation. And I am 1 minute early in ending my presentation. So there you go, the art of innovation.
Hi, you're amazing. No more slides for you, Guy.
Yeah.
It's over for you. Just
Slides
you.
are wimps. Slides are for wimps.
I'm so excited at the future of tech. I think there's a lot obviously to be done, but as you highlighted, there's so many incredible women entrepreneurs. And I think we've just begun to scratch the surface of how technology can help either for social good or obviously driving business. Go ahead.
Oh, can I offer one more piece of advice specifically for women?
Please.
Okay.
Let me get my pen.
Yeah, right. So in my podcast, I have interviewed people like Ariana Huffington, the founder of Madison Reed, the hair dye company, Shelley Archambault, who's on the board of directors of Verizon. As I said, Susie Batiz from Poopery. So I must have more than a dozen female entrepreneurs. And actually, if you looked at, I have about 105 episodes. The bulk of those episodes are women. I have more women than men on my podcast. I should just call my podcast Remarkable Women. Screw the men. But anyway, that's a different discussion. But I will tell you one thing that comes up over and over. Well, I'll tell you two things that come up over and over. Number one is every one of them, and even the male entrepreneurs, they often cite their mother as the force that supported them, believed in them, empowered them. I don't know why, but not one has said, my father encouraged me. My father, made sure I was educated. My father held the line. every one of them said their mothers, starting with Jane Goodall. So that's observation number one. The application of that is women who are mothers, the burden is on you, man. It's a huge responsibility. That's number one. And number two, over and over, these female entrepreneurs said, one of the skills you must learn is faking it until you make it. And I don't mean that in an unethical way. I'm not saying, well, you should tell the world and you should tell your investors that with a single drop of blood, we can diagnose over 75 diseases. And Walgreens has already embraced it. And Pfizer is going to do that. That is not faking it till you make it. That's just sheer lies. Okay. Faking it until you make it means that you talk about success stories, and you make these success stories obvious because it's going to lead to more success stories. So I am not advocating telling a lie. Okay. So I'll give you an example with the Macintosh division. When we were introducing Macintosh in '84, the press would often ask us, well, what large companies are using Macintosh? And we would say, well, Pete Marwick, the auditor, is using it. They're buying Macintoshes for every auditor so that the auditors can take Macintoshes on site and do their analysis on site. Well, I hate to say, but back then, Pete Marwick was the only one that we had brought across the finish line. There were many people at the 1 yard line, but Pete Marwick was the one that was across the finish line. So that was, in a sense, faking it until you make it. And then I lied. I said I had a couple pieces. I have one more piece of advice for women. Okay. The last piece of advice for women is that you need to get over the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is where you feel like you look around the room and you say, I've been appointed to the Verizon board of directors. I don't deserve to be here. That guy's a private equity guy. That guy's a CEO of a tech company. That guy's that. Who am I to be on this board? It's total bullshit, because I'm telling you, probably everybody else is either as little qualified or as much qualified as you are. So you got to get over the imposter syndrome. That should not even enter into your brain. I'm not saying you should be delusional and believe that the world should just suck up to you, but I'm saying that you'd be amazed. I have never ever heard a man say, did I deserve that raise? Did I deserve that promotion? No man in the history of humanity has ever said that. Okay. And obviously that can't be right. So get over the imposter syndrome. That's all I can say.
You're incredible, Guy. I love the way you synthesize it. I have seen you present before, and I always walk away with a smile on my face and feel very uplifted. And your storytelling is incredible. I'm going to tell you where the fake it before you make it comes from. It comes from dance competition. That's why girls hear that from their mothers. It's like your little girl or your little guy's about to go out on stage, and you're like, honey, just fake it before you make it. It'll be okay.
Well, I'm faking it before I make it. So listen to my podcast to listen how great women have overcome the imposter syndrome, faked it until they made it, and sent the universe. Okay.
I'm going to go listen to all 108 episodes. Is that what you said? I'm going to be busy. 105. It's going to take me some time, but I'll get through it.
You can walk from Sydney to Melbourne listening to it.
That's a good idea.
And I go to the Balmoral Beach Club for me and have some of their muesli, because their muesli is to die for. There. Oh my Lord, that is good muesli.
I feel like I'll be doing something a little more exotic than muesli, but I'll try it. I'll try it for you.
You know what else? You know that Japanese restaurant that's under the Sydney Bridge?
Yes, I do know that.
Oh,
yeah,
that
incredible.
Is a great
the
restaurant.
Views, right? Unbelievable.
Oh my Lord.
There's nothing like it.
Restaurant.
Sydney Harbor, nothing like it.
Yep. And flat whites. I mean, real flat whites.
I might go get another flat white right now, actually.
That's right. Okay. Well, all your attendees are going, what the hell is he talking about?
We'll interpret this for you all later. We'll provide commentary later.
Okay.
Well-
All right. You take care. Bye.